It is now officially March, my love. And since the celebration of March, we're gonna get in some devious shit.
Oh boy.
We're gonna get into some very devious cases. Let's do this. While I give the disclaimer, would you kindly pass the apparatus? Thank you. This file involves unexplained death and unsolved mystery. While it lacks the graphic violence of our serial killer files, the circumstances surrounding Ricky McCormick's deaths is deeply unsettling. It's a rabbit hole of cryptography and unanswered questions. Listener discretion is strongly advised. This one's just advised. This one's not that bad.
How about that? I get it.
And per usual, welcome to Frights. If you handed a secret code to the FBI's top cryptanalytics, I believe that's pronounced, unit, the same unit that hunts spies and decodes terrorist chatter, you'd expect them to crack it, right? But what if the code was written by an unemployed 41-year-old high school dropout from St. Louis? I guess not. I guess then they're just kind of don't know what to do. In 1999, Ricky McCormick was found dead in a Missouri cornfield with 2 pages of handwritten cipher in his pocket. To this day, the FBI has no idea what it says.
Probably doesn't say anything, realistically.
It probably just is like, tell my wife, F you. Or like... Or like watch the cipher be like his personal diary of just dumb shit.
Fucking, I was here.
You like the things that they scribble on like the bathroom walls in school?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like
Like
at whatever is here.
Like graffiti or something.
Yeah. I have my asparagus packed. I'm gonna continue while you finish. Yeah, you're about done. So if you got it, smoke it. Cheers.
Cheers.
We always gotta start the session off with a cough and ASMR. Alright, are you ready? On June 30th of 1999, a woman was driving along a dirt road in West Alton, Missouri. She noticed something in the cornfield. It was a heavily decomposed body of Ricky McCormick. Ricky wasn't a spy or any criminal mastermind or anything. He was a 41-year-old man who lived on and off with his elderly mother in St. Louis. He suffered from chronic heart and lung issues and was living on disability checks. The police found no obvious cause of death, no bullet wounds, no stab wounds, nothing along those lines. In fact, he was found 15 miles away from his own home, yet he didn't own a car. There was no public transportation that went out in the field, at least as far as he went. So how did he get there? And more importantly, why? The mystery exploded when the coroner checked Ricky's pockets. Inside, he found 2 pages of handwritten notes. It wasn't just a diary entry or a grocery list. It was a chaotic jumble of letters, numbers, and parentheses. 30 lines of highly constricted, deep, complex cipher. The local police didn't make heads or tails of it, so they sent it to the FBI Cranalytics and Records Unit, the CRRU, and the American Cryptogram Association. These are the people who eat, sleep, and breathe codes. They ran it through computers, they looked for linguistic patterns, but they found absolutely nothing. Now here's where the archive really hits the brick wall of logic. Um, Ricky McCormick was functionally illiterate. He could barely write his own name, let alone spell complex words. So, who did a, how did a man who couldn't really read write a code that defeated the FBI? His family told investigators that Ricky had been writing these codes since he was a child. To everyone else, it looked like meaningless scribbles of a troubled mind. But the FBI code breakers vehemently disagree. They insist that the notes show deliberate structure, that there is a rhythm to the characters. It isn't just gibberish, it's a highly personalized system of encryption. Some theories suggest that the ledger that that it was a ledger for a local drug ring he got caught up in. Others think it was a way to keep track of his complicated medication schedule. Or perhaps in a mind that struggled to process standard English, he simply just invented his own language.
But
For 12 years, the FBI kept the notes secret, quietly banging their heads against the wall trying to solve them. But by 2011, they were so desperate that they did something incredibly rare. They admitted defeat and released the cipher to the public, crowdsourcing the mystery. They even set up a dedicated website hoping that some amateur sleuth out there might be able to see the pattern that they missed. Thousands of theories poured in, ranging from license plate numbers to astrology charts, but to this day, the FBI hasn't verified one single solution. The code remains unbroken to this day. So they're still trying to figure out.
I doubt they're still trying to figure out. It's probably been cool.
No, they're still they're still keeping track. They still have the website up and all.
Oh, that's fair enough. Yeah, like a bit.
That's the end of that one.
Yeah.
On to the reign of terror.
Indeed.
The following file discusses systematic, racially motivated murders of the Osage people during the 1920s. It involves government complicity, forced assimilation, bombings, and the calculated extermination of entire families for financial gain. Listener discretion isn't just advised, it's mandatory.
This is very deep shit at the moment.
Also, if anyone asks, no, we do not have any intention on disappearing anytime soon. No, we don't. No, I'm joking.
I am not suicidal in any way, shape, or form.
Can't say that.
Sorry.
We are not planning on ending our lives.
I do not plan on game ending in any way, shape, or form.
Yes. But anyways, in the 1920s, the richest people per capita, thank you, in the entire world wasn't in New York or London. They were members of the Osage Indian Nation in Oklahoma. Excuse me. After being forced off their ancestral lands by the U.S. government, they ended up on a patch of rocky, seemingly worthless earth. But beneath that rock was an ocean of oil, and almost overnight, the Osage became millionaires. They had mansions, chauffeurs, and private planes. But where there is black gold, the vultures will gather. Soon the Osage began dying in mysterious, brutal ways. And it wasn't just isolated murders, coordinated extermination. You ready for the second garden of the night? We get messed up.
Indeed. It's probably going to make me want to go out and probably go get me some McDonald's in the good.
Alright, well, if you got it, smoke it. Cheers.
Cheers.
That one wasn't that bad.
I don't know. Especially when you guys hold the cucumbers.
Try it. Cucumber makes everything better.
Yeah, cucumber.
Alright, so now let's get started with this. To understand the motive, you must understand the money. When the Osage negotiated their treaty with the government, they did something brilliant. They retained communal rights to all materials beneath their reservation. The profits from the oil leases were divided equally among the tribe members through head rights. Here was the catch. A head right could not be bought or sold, it could only be inherited. If you were a white prosecutor, you couldn't just swindle an Osage person out of their oil rights. If you wanted the money, you had to marry into the family, and then you had to make sure you were the last one breathing. Before the murders began, the U.S. government set the stage for exploitation. Congress passed a law declaring that many full-blooded Osage were incompetent to manage their own vast wealth. They instituted a deeply racist guardianship system. A wealthy Osage adult would be assigned a white guardian, usually a local lawyer, businessman, or politician, who controlled their bank accounts. These guardians officially restricted the Osage into small allowances while secretly embezzling millions. The local police, the judges, and the doctors were all in on the grift. The system wasn't just broken, it was designed to steal. The physical violence was orchestrated by men who called themselves friends of the Osage. The worst among them was a cattleman named William William K. Hale, who literally styled himself as the king of the Osage Hills.
Wow.
Hale was a pillar of the community, but behind the scenes, he was a sociopath running a murder syndicate. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry.
Murder syndicate.
Yes, he was a sociopath running a murder syndicate. Apologies. He encouraged his nephew, Ernest Burkhart, to marry a wealthy Osage woman named Molly. Once Ernest was in the family, Hale began systematically slaughtering Molly's relatives, so their head rights would funnel directly to Ernest, and by extension, to Hale. They didn't just use poison. In 1923, they blew up the home of Molly's sister, Rita Smith, with nitroglycerin, killing her, her husband, and their servant. The local authorities did nothing. Coroners covered up the poisonings, and the investigators who got too close were thrown off moving trains or shot in the back. And by 1925, the death toll was staggering. Officially, it was around 24 by modern historians. Officially, it was around 24, but modern historians believe that the true number of murdered Osage was in the hundreds.
Seems like it. I mean, that's a whole family.
Yeah, so you guys can find only 24 made it on record.
And it's probably on purpose.
Yeah, it was on purpose. They said that the coroners were covering up, like a lot of them.
I'd imagine.
Desperate, the Osage Tribal Council appealed directly to Washington, D.C. The case was handed to the Bureau of Investigation, who would later become the FBI, and its ambitious young director, J. Edgar Hoover. He sent in a former Texas Ranger named Tom White to crack the conspiracy. White knew the local cops were compromised, so he sent his agents in undercover. They posted as insurance salesmen, cattle buyers, and medicine men. Slowly, they broke through the wall of the silence. They found the hitman Hale had hired, and against all odds, managed to get Ernest Burkham to confess to the plot against his own wife's family.
I
All for money.
all fucking money. All for money and all for this just to get rid of the fuck. Like I can't even.
William Cahill was finally convicted and sent to Leavenworth Penitentiary, but the justice was hollow. He was paroled after a couple of decades and lived out the rest of his life as a free man. More tragically, the FBI only solved the murders connected to Hale. Hundreds of other guardians who had slowly poisoned or starved their Osage wards were never investigated. Hoover used the case to gain funding and fame for the FBI, while the deeper systematic theft of the Osage wealth was quietly swept under the rug. Congress eventually changed a law in 1925 to prohibit non-Osage from inheriting head rights, but by then, the generational damage was already done.
Pretty much. Like he already funneled it all straight to him at that point.
I gotta drink some water. We're sponsored by hydration.
Sponsored by Headband, everybody. Drink your water.
Drink your water.
Especially while it's still commercially available as of now.
While it's still commercially available, it's great.
Am I wrong?
We can't get into that.
Yeah, I know.
We can't get into that.
I know.
Or at least not yet. So next one. So are you ready? Are you ready for another garden? Because remember, this is another case.
I can wait till the next one.
I have enough for one more.
I can back in that a little bit.
Thank you. So this file involves domestic terrorism, the assassination of a federal judge, and detailed description of explosive devices. We're discussing the deliberate weaponization of the postal system to inflict maximum carnage. Listener discretion is mandatory.
Yes.
Yeah. It's December of 1989. The holidays are approaching. In a quiet, affluent the suburb of the Mountain Brook, Alabama, the United States Court Appeals Judge Robert S. Vance is sitting at his kitchen table. He's sorting through the morning mail like any normal guy would, as he sees a heavily string-wrapped package wrapped in a brown paper, bearing at the return address of a fellow judge. He pulls the tab to open it, but in a fraction of a second, his kitchen is reduced to a war zone. Before we continue, I'm going to do the final hit of this bowl. Cheers! That wasn't that bad.
That's fine.
That wasn't bad.
I'm proud of you, Mike.
Yay! Thank you. Anyways. back to the thing. When Judge Vance opened that box, he triggered a massive pipe bomb packed with nails. The blast killed him instantly and severely injured his wife, Helen. Vance was a prominent figure on the 11th current Court of Appeals, known for his work in civil rights and desecration. At first, investigators thought it was the three letters of K,
Yes.
or a drug cartel. But the terror didn't stop in Alabama. 2 days later, a civil rights attorney in Savannah, Georgia, named Robert Robinson, opened a similar package and was killed. 2 more bombs were intercepted before they could detonate. One at the 11th current headquarters in Atlanta, and another at the NAACP office in Florida. Someone had declared war on the Southern legal system, and they were using the post office to deliver the casualties. As the bombs moved through the mail, media outlets and law enforcement agencies received threatening letters from a shadowy group that called itself Americans for a Competent Federal Jurisdiction. The letters demanded changes to the court system and threatened further assassinations. But the FBI's behavioral analysis knew it wasn't a spiraling terrorist organization. The extreme precision of the bombs, combined with the hyper-specific graveness in the letters, pointed to a lone wolf, someone who was highly intelligent, deeply aggravated, and obsessively meticulous. The break in the case didn't come from an informant, it came from a lab. The FBI explosives unit reconstructed the unexploded bombs and found a signature. The bomb had used a very specific, unusual type of powder, and the ends of the end caps of the pipes were welded with a distinct, almost obsessive level of craftsmanship. Investigators dug through the archives of the past bombings looking for a match, and they found one. It was a 1972 pipe bomb that had exploded in Macon, Georgia. The man convicted of that 1972 bombing was Walter Leroy Moody Jr. When they looked at Moody's records, the motive clicked into place. Moody had spent years filing appeals to overturn his 1972 conviction, claiming that he was framed. The court that repeatedly denied his appeals was Judge Vance's 11th current Court of Appeals. The NAACP and the civil rights targets were just a smokescreen designed to throw off the FBI office trail.
Too smart for my life.
Yeah. So, Moody was described as a paranoid genius. He never bought the bomb materials himself, he manipulated others into buying them. Or he wore an elaborate disguise. He thought that he was untouchable. But he made one fatal analog mistake. When the agents searched his home and storage units, they couldn't find any factory, but they did find the ribbon of the manual typewriter. In the 1980s, typewriter ribbons acted like physical hard drive, every stroke of permanent stamped onto an ink ribbon. Forensic experts carefully unspooled the ribbon and read it backwards. Stamped right there on the tape were the exact drafts of the threat letters that were by the Americans of the competent federal jurisdiction. Moody had literally left the transcript of his terrorism in the trash. He just left it in the camp.
Like, they wouldn't just try searching the trash.
Walter Moody was convicted of the murders in both federal and state courts. He represented himself during the state trial, turning the courtroom into a bizarre theater where he continued to insist that he was the victim of a massive government conspiracy. He was sentenced to death. He spent decades on death row, exhausting every possible appeal. Ironically, utilizing every legal system he tried to blow up. And in 2018, at the age of 83, Walter Moody was executed by the state of Alabama. At the time, he was the oldest inmate put to death in modern day era of the U.S. Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I mean, I knew he was old, but I was not expecting that to be the oldest of all fucking people in modern day history.
Well, more modern day history, yeah. I think they consider modern now like anything 2015 and up at this point.
That feels weird to say, bro.
It really does feel weird to say, but that is kind of like what's considered modern now.
Yeah.
It was like 2015 and like newer. Everything other than that is like retro.
It feels so weird saying fucking 2014 is now considered fucking retro. FNAF is now retro.
Oh my god, we're old.
We're old.
Oh my god, we're old. Okay, moving on to the last one of the night. Are you packed and ready? May you allow me to also be packed and ready because you're closer to the you're closer to the fun part. Yep. Well, you pack it better.
You know, they're trying to learn.
I just have stubby fingers. Can't like, you know, I can't get it in there. What? You look at me like that.
Such an excuse for that.
It's not. I swear. Thank you. Go ahead.
Headbutt.
You headbutt me. I'm gonna punch you where the sun don't shine. Anyways,
Or like you don't
all those
fucking
jokes.
headbutt me. I don't want to hear that.
It's all just jokes. It's all good.
Right.
Yeah. Excuse me. For the final case of the night, this file involves armed aircraft hijacking, federal extortion, and high-stakes manhunt. We're discussing the tactical execution of a hijacking and about the subsequent shootout of federal agents. Listener discretion is advised for this one.
Strongly.
Like strongly advised, but just advised, not mandatory.
Definitely not me.
Yeah. Everyone knows the name J.B. Cooper, or D.B. Cooper, sorry. Everyone knows the name D.B. Cooper. The man who jumped out of a 727 with a bag of cash and vanished into the rain and a legend. But only 4 months after Cooper disappeared, another man tried to do the same exact thing. He used the same type of plane, the same jump technique, and demanded even more money.
Aha, so that's why it sounded so familiar when we found it. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it sounds so familiar, because technically we do know the case, it's just
someone.
it's a copycat.
It's literally a copycat trying to replicate it. I've never seen some shit like that before, especially for something like this. Oh wow, that's fun. Oh yeah, I forgot to.
Gardening. That was my fault for not saying cheers. Cheers. Ooh. Hopefully we get this done before witching hour. Oh yeah. Okay. Moving on. Richard McCoy wasn't your average criminal. Oh wait. Oh, he demanded even more money. Sorry.
I'm about to
Yeah.
say, just have like a mega blank brain there for a moment.
Yeah, I lost where I was for a second. Oh no. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Richard McCoy wasn't your average criminal. He was a decorated Vietnam veteran, a green beret, and a demolition expert. He was also a skilled skydiver with hundreds of jumps under his belt. Back home in Utah, he was a Mormon Sunday school teacher and a criminal justice student. But McCoy was struggling. He was broke, and he felt that the world had owed him more than a student's stampede. He watched the news coverage of D.B. Cooper in November of 1971 and didn't see a villain. He saw a blueprint. He realized he had more tactical training than Cooper ever did. He decided to go for the big score. So on April 7th, McCoy boarded on the U.S. Airlines Flight 803 in Newmark, New Jersey. He was bound for Los Angeles. He was traveling under the name James Johnson, and he carried a gym bag and a typewriter case. Once the plane was in the air, he handed the flight attendant a note. He wasn't playing around. He showed her what looked like a hand grenade and a handgun. His demands were record-breaking. $500,000 in cash, which would be nearly $4 million in today's money currency, like equivalent.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Good lord.
And 4 parachutes. The plane landed in San Francisco, the money was delivered, and the passengers were released. McCoy ordered the pilot to take off again and headed toward Utah. Somewhere over the city of Provo, at 6,000 feet, McCoy lowered the rear stairs of the Boeing 727 and vanished. The Boeing 2020, the 727, Jesus, and vanished into the night sky. McCoy's jump was a masterpiece of precision. He landed in a remote area and found his getaway car, and he was home in time for dinner. He walked into a room and was like, "Oh, hey, how was your day, honey? Oh, I got the plane. Took some money. Nothing too crazy. Yeah." What the? And for a few days, he was the richest Sunday school teacher in America. But McCoy had one massive amateur mistake. A friend of his, a highway patrolman, remembered McCoy talking about how easy it would be to pull off a Cooper-style heist. When the news broke, the officer called the FBI immediately.
Not even a second thought.
Not even a second. Yeah, not even a second thought. The feds moved in fast. When they searched McCoy's home, they found a jumpsuit, the parachutes, and only $499,970 hidden in a hollowed out wall. He had only spent $30 of the $500,000. So realistically, he did all that for just $30.
That's screwed. No way he did all that for just 30. I can't even.
McCoy was sentenced to 45 years in Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary. Most people would have given up, but not Green Beret. So in 1974, McCoy and a group of inmates had fashioned a fake handgun out of molten dental paste and painted it black. They used it to hijack a prison garbage truck and crash through the main gates under a hail of gunfire. McCoy was on the run for months. The FBI launched one of the most intense manhunts in history. They finally tracked him down in a house on Virginia Beach. When the agents moved in, McCoy didn't surrender. He came out of the house with a stolen shotgun, and it was an ensued shootout. The apprentice was killed. The archives of the McCoy case are forever linked to the D.B. Cooper mystery. Many FBI agents, including the lead investigator on the Cooper case, Russell Camel, were convinced that Richard Floyd McCoy was D.B. Cooper. The physical description matched, and the MO was identical. The skill set was perfect. The theory is that McCoy did the first jump as Cooper, lost the money in the woods, and did the second jump to get the payday he felt he deserved. While the FBI officially maintains that they're different men, the debate still ranges in the skydiver community to this day. Yeah.
Holy shit. I mean, yeah, it makes sense because this. It's almost indisputable at this point.
Yeah, they're still I think they even It's even like considered a ghost story in the Air Force as well. Don't quote me on that. We've covered a lot of ground in this session, moving through decades like ghosts in a machine. We've looked at Ricky McCormick was a man who left the world in a puzzle that even the FBI's brightest mind can't even solve. We dug into the Osage murders, where the earth, blood, oil, and the systems of quote unquote protection became a slow motion execution. And we traced the forensic path of Walter Moody, a man who turned a mailbox into a weapon. And then finally we jumped through the clouds with Richard Floyd McCoy Jr., the veteran who tried to steal the legend of D.B. Cooper and ended up becoming a myth of his own. When you lay these files together, the theme isn't just crime, it's the unseen. It's the secret language of a man that the world ignored. It's the hidden greed of a guardian smiling at his ward. It's a microscopic ink on a ribbon or a silent drop of a man from a 727. These stories remind us that under the surface of our everyday lives, these are currents of obsession, tragedy, and brilliance that we rarely see until they explode into headlines. And as we close the archives, remember that the history isn't just what happened, it's what we managed to find in the pockets of the dead and the records of the past. Some mysteries stay locked forever, and maybe that's just how they're supposed to be.
Yeah. As much as I hate to admit it, yeah, maybe that really is just how it's supposed to be with some cases. Maybe they really should just stay locked and just not fucking talk about. But then I'd be lying to myself. But said something, yeah, it'd be scary.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with the deep end with us for this little marathon. If these stories gave you a new perspective on the unsolved parts of our world, I'm not gonna be saying all that because it'll be all cringy and all, but you know what to do. It's YouTube. Use your brain cell. It's okay. Nothing bad will happen. But before we go, I want to know.
Here's your big point, Joe.
But before we go, I want to know which is more haunting: a crime that's solved but reveals a monster, or a mystery that stays unbroken forever.
I'll say a mystery that stays unbroken forever.
Well, I'm going to let everyone debate about it in the comments, and then we can read them.
Yeah, that was a
Yay!
yeah.
Stay safe, stay lifted, because we can't say the other word here. This is High Frights. Bye!
Yes. Yeah. Bye.